Hey, Rock Tumblers, it's Tom with you again for another interview. This time I managed to score an international interview. We have the guys from Florida or the Panhandle, Hope Darling. So thank you for joining me, guys.
Hey, Tom, thank you for having us.
So we got Gabe, Richie, not Richie.
Richie unfortunately isn't here.
Okay. So who do we got besides Gabe? I recognize Gabe right off rip. So who else do we have? Just for the audience to introduce Jeff,
Frank,
and Ryan,
Frank,
and
Jay.
Frank, and Jay. So shall we get on with the questions?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So how did you guys form, and how did you come up with the name of Hope Darling? Because it's a very interesting band name.
Can I take this one?
Yeah.
So I tell everybody that Hope Darling actually was a friend of ours that I knew way back in high school. Unfortunately, in high school, she passed away in a very severe car accident. I just always thought that her name had kind of this ring to it. I had the opportunity to form a band. I actually contacted her mom, and I said, "I'm forming this band, and I'm not naming it after her, but I wanted to use the name because I thought it had an alternative rock sound. So
Yeah.
when I had the opportunity to, I called the band Hope Darling, and the rest is history after that.
So not quite a direct tribute, but more of a allegory or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not.
And then and her
I'm not.
mom was really cool. She gave me her blessing. And as a matter of fact, interesting enough, like we still communicate with her, and she calls herself Mama Darling. Is what she calls herself.
That's sweet. Okay, so what has been your favorite gig so far since the inception of Hope Darling to perform, or no, not to perform? What has been your favorite gig that you performed since the inception of Hope Darling 5 years ago? There we go.
Favorite gig? What would you guys say?
My favorite? I would say probably when we played Delandapalooza last year, and we got invited to play the late night set, and it was awesome because it got cut short because it started raining, and the sound guy killed all the sound, but the crowd and us were just singing the last chorus of the last song together in the rain. Like that was my favorite.
Yeah, that was really cool.
These are people that don't even.
Yeah, they don't even know us.
They didn't even know us, but
we were like 300 miles from home.
Yeah, they were just like all the sound was gone, and next thing you know, the crowd, one of our guys, Richie, started singing the song, like he was like yelling it, and next thing you know, the entire crowd just started singing back to us, and we just finished this. We finished the last song with the crowd, and then we finished our set. So I would agree that was very memorable.
We had the most fun. It's up there,
that was fun.
I think that the Hard Rock was one of our cool shows.
Yeah, Hard Rock is always cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
And,
Hard Rock is a great venue.
Yeah.
The Ritz was really fun. We actually kicked out of the backstage area.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to be there, so
we thought we were in like the
no.
We were eating the headliner's food.
Green M&Ms. Yeah, eating all the headliner stuff, and then we got kicked out. We didn't realize. We thought it was our room. So
It's funny you mentioned green M&Ms because Ozzy Osbourne famously wanted brown M&Ms before he could perform. So, do you guys have any strange rituals?
Sure.
Hey, if they're gonna give it to him,
Yeah. Might as well.
Do you guys have any strange rituals that you do beforehand? Like, do you need I don't know kombucha or something before you go on to perform? Or
yeah, Yeah, I think it's become a unspoken ritual where we do a shot, and it's usually the shot is usually
like
a
before.
fireball
Yeah.
cinnamon whiskey shot.
Something
Yeah,
to get
we
all
all-
the jitters out
Yeah.
before going on stage.
Yeah, we
so you
all
don't
get
screw up.
to get together
Yeah.
and just kind of just get.
I think it
focused
I think
up.
it eventually become a ritual. So.
Yeah.
Close to it.
That's a pretty basic one, and
Yeah.
not high
Yeah.
maintenance like not high maintenance like a high Mariah Carey or something like that, who is a nightmare
We're far
backstage
behind.
apparently. So you guys are influenced by a lot of different genres, a lot of eclectic mix from rock, obviously, but you also are influenced by classical, reggae, and hip hop. So could you walk us through some of those influences, like which artists or bands in particular influence you or guys' sound?
Yeah. So Jeff's kind of the reggae.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up playing. My dad was a musician, so ever since I was a kid, I grew up playing blues with him, and then because he always told me, "Is like that's the foundation of everything. Learn blues, and you're good to go." And then from there, that just kind of opened me up to a lot of different rock. But then I got into reggae in about like high school, late high school, and I was in a reggae band for a little while, like kind of a reggae rock type band. And yeah, it was just it's something that for me it kind of still influences my
You
style
can hear
to
it in
this
the drummer.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you really can.
And I would probably say Frank is he's really highly influenced by country music.
Yeah, country
Yeah.
music
for
now.
sure.
I do a lot of country music on my. I do solo acoustic stuff in the other band that I have.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I grew up
well,
on the blues and rock.
well, country is a very big exploding market, especially over here. So if you wanted, you could probably do what Darius
Oh, no.
Walker from Hootie and the Blowfish did and become a country artist
Oh yeah.
for a solo
Yeah.
thing. So if you guys could perform with any band or what have you for a tour or whatever, who would they be? Who's your dream lineup to perform with?
I know one. Probably Coldplay is one of them. One of our influences. At least.
Yeah, for me right now, if you're listening, boys, the Menzingers.
The men singers.
Yes, I would love to tour with those guys. They're awesome. They're an awesome band.
Richie would have a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
results. Yeah.
I would agree with Frank. I would love to open it for international band like Coldplay or the Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those are just the top names right now.
Yeah.
But I personally would like to open up for some of my idols. Like I still dig the Cult. Who else? Some of the older bands. Like I still listen to Morrissey. All those older rockers. I would love to open for a band like that. Or YouTube. I'm a big YouTube fan.
At the Spear.
Play
At the Spear.
At the
I would play at the
Spear.
Spear. Yeah. Only at this. I would only play at the Spear or YouTube.
Okay, that sounds really cool. You don't normally hear pure rock bands, which you guys are wanting to play with Coldplay. There's usually like a bit of a divide between the two. Like a lot of pure rock bands or whatever don't really call bands like Coldplay and Maroon 5 rock. But it's glad that you guys don't. I'm glad that you guys don't have that sort of elitism or anything
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
That's a really cool thing. So Enso, from the press release that I got, is the allowing the mind to put the body into a position to create, and apparently it's a word that has multiple meanings. But how did you come to that for a title for your album?
So I'd say a majority of us, including myself and Richie, and I'm sure each of the guys have some sort of. Our music is very. We're not faith based, but we're very spiritual guys. So the Enso, if you in our logo, that logo, that broken circle, that is actually the Enso itself. So that is a symbolism that.
Like,
Yeah,
like hanging out and coming together.
yeah. It's one of those things where it's the perfect imperfect circle is what it is. So
Ah,
nothing is
that-
yeah. So when
that's
we
very
had the opportunity to name the band, um, they we were trying to figure out a name for the band. I mean for the album, and we just decided, well, why don't we just go with what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and we decided to go with what we knew, and which is the Enso, which again it has many meanings, but for the purposes of our band, I take the meaning of when the mind and the body are able to come together to create, and that's ultimately what we're doing.
Absolutely.
that's fantastic. It's one of the reasons I was drawn to your band. As you said, not quite religious or spiritual. Well, as you just said, the spiritualness of it. I'm a big fan of fancy words. I pride myself on being one of the smartest guys in the room, so I was really happy to learn a new vocabulary word. So
Appreciate it.
again, it's one of the reasons why I was drawn to your sound. Besides it being very reminiscent of I don't know if you agree with this assessment, but I liken you guys a little bit to Hoobastank, just a bit more of a pure sound rather than a commercialness about you guys. It's a really nice pure sound, and with all the influences that you have in your music, it's really refreshing. Um, so I did my research, and the song Lifelines, it was picked up by Spike Lee for a Netflix show, She's Gotta Have It. So could you go through the process of how that happened? I'm quite
Yeah,
curious as to how
uh,
that process worked.
yeah, it's really simple. It was by accident. That's what happened. so, so here's the story. So my brother Raul, he's a photographer, and one of his friends who is a also kind of in the media business. He was a location scout. He goes around
Hmm.
Florida or wherever and looks for locations for films and movies. And he always was always into our music. And he was telling my brother, he goes, I heard Spike Lee. He said, I worked with Spike Lee a few times, and he said, I heard Spike Lee is looking for music for one of his new shows. So he gave my brother his he gave my brother his email address that I can send to. He gave it to me, and I held on to it for quite a while because I was like, Spike Lee doesn't want to hear, rock music, So, and then one day I was like I probably say about 2-3 weeks later, I'm like, screw it, I'm just gonna email it to him. So I email it to him, and then next thing I know, it's like I get a call maybe like 4 or 5 months later from Best Borough Productions, and it was his assistant who said, first day I didn't answer it. It was just, went to voicemail, and the voicemail part said, Spike Lee more or less said, he listens to everything that goes on his desk, listen to our song, and he said, the message said they wanted to talk to me because they wanted to use it for their upcoming show. Long story short, it took a year because the show was in production, and I personally didn't even know what they were going to use the song for. I mean, I was afraid they were going to use it for like a murder scene, and then next thing I know, our songs would be like printed into like this violent, episode. So, but yeah, and then I was also afraid, because I was hearing stories about licensing and
Hmm.
how you only hear clippets of a song. Sometimes you don't even hear the vocals or the lyrics. But we were fortunate that the scene that we're in on his show, it's in an art gallery, and our song is playing in the background over the PA during the dialogue, and it's pretty loud, but it's a good
And
probably
a good amount of time.
yeah, it's like a minute and a half
Yeah.
of our song,
Yep.
which I was
You
very
actually
yeah.
hear it. It's pretty awesome.
So it was pretty
And that
cool.
is all.
It's
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You
Oh,
continue your thought.
I just think it's pretty cool. Just I always say it's the one thing. It's right now it's our one claim to fame that I say. So,
Yeah.
Well, don't say yourself short. You've also received a nomination for a breakout band in 2015, and that
yes,
was all down entirely to your songwriting. Well, according to the press release again, but I'm sure it's also based on your musical talent because again, you have a wonderful sound. But could you walk us through your songwriting process? Like, do you have to go for a drive or something to come up with a song or something like that? Like, how do you get inspired?
There's been many times that I can say that I've driven in my car and come up with. I can't say I've come up with a song in a car, but I've tried to finish a song because there's a lot of privacy and I can, you know, things that we've recorded in the past, I can play it in my speakers. But our songwriting process is pretty simple. I usually come up with an idea or some lyrics, and then I bring it to the band, and everybody in the band, like Jay, Frank, Jeff, they bring their stamp to it.
Hmm.
Their ideas, and I try to keep it as democratic as possible because, like I say, I'm not a bass player, I'm not a drummer, so I don't write drum parts. So I leave it up to these guys to reinterpret what I write, and
Hmm.
and right now the formula is working great because sometimes I come up with a song and I bring it to the band and it's a
No,
little
it's terrible.
well, yeah, that's happened too.
You don't
So,
know what's good.
but sometimes I come to the band with a kind of a ballady song, and then next thing I know,
Hmm.
by the time we leave, it's got some amp, it's got a little bit more
Yeah.
guts to it. So
So and
Hmm.
sometimes he comes in with a song, and 2 hours later we're like, well, that's pretty much it. Like
and
we
sometimes
just
it goes in a
gotta
different. And songs sometimes go in different directions. You sometimes the idea of a song is not always after a lot of voices and a lot of ideas put their hands in it, it becomes a different song too.
Hmm. So Enso is a collection of 9 songs that you've handpicked over your catalog from the last 5 years. So, how did you go about defining those songs for the album? Like, how did you go through that? Nah, this song doesn't go on the album, but this one does. And how were you able to pick? Because again, you've got a really big sound, and it'd be really hard to pick for a particular song.
Yeah,
So,
I can usually say that each of the songs on there, as I mentioned, we're not a faith-based band, but there's some spirituality to us. I can easily say that each of these songs have a personal meaning, not just to me, but I think to each of us.
yeah.
So,
mhm,
I'm still a believer that music is storytelling, and regardless of the
mhm,
genre,
yeah,
So each of these songs, for the past, I probably say the past 3 to 5 years, has been the genesis of each song is something that has happened, an experience that has affected us
It's like a
in some
time
way.
mhm,
capsule.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it's sometimes, like I say, song influences come from events that you don't want to be influenced by, like the passing
yeah,
of a friend, or
yeah,
tragedy of some sort. And unfortunately, those influences can create music because it's an outlet. And
yeah,
these songs, to me, these songs have some have affected us in some way in our storytelling in the past couple of years. So these are the songs
yeah.
that, for the purposes of creating this album, I felt like um, this was the best. These were the best songs that represented us at this moment in time.
That's really beautiful. So,
That's awesome.
I practiced
what
that.
what is your favorite song to play from the album?
Go ahead, Jeff.
From the album, my favorite song to play from the album is Rain.
I think Absolution is mine. It's Rain up there for sure, but Absolution I think shows like a ballad in the beginning, and then it shows the rock version at the end. So it's a mixture of all the stuff that we do. I think kind of in one song, which is kind of neat.
Ah,
Yeah.
really? And what about yourself, Gabe? Like for
Um,
singing?
Singing. Well, if I had to pick one right now out of all the songs. I mean, I love all the songs, of course, but to me right now, I would, outside of their selections, um, "It Was Always You" is a favorite of mine vocally, and because
Mhm.
it's not so much the story or the melody, but it's because I feel like when I hear that song, and I feel like it's one of the songs that we as a band technically put together, not just
Mhm.
instrumentally but vocally. If you listen to the song, I feel like we're all locked in
Yeah.
And we wrote
in,
that
in
song.
harmonies. So, and you know, interesting enough, most people don't know there are four lead singers in this band. So
Yep.
each of the like Jay, Frank, myself, and Richie, who's not here, we've each all fronted a band or are fronting a band. So we're four lead
Yep.
singers. So I personally want to take advantage of that skill
Mhm.
set. So if I can do that in our music and put everybody out in front, I will gladly do that.
Yeah. So instead of it being a front man, it's front men,
Yeah,
and it's a
exactly.
collective. It's a collective, so the guys don't have to worry about you doing an Axl Rose and being a complete nightmare. That's wonderful.
I think that can roast
Change the Guns N' Roses.
So, do you have any upcoming gigs later this month? Because the album has just been released, or is going to be released on the 15th of March, I believe. So
Oh
do
yeah,
you
yeah,
have do you have an album launch
yeah.
or upcoming gigs you'd like to plug?
I think
This
so.
Friday.
Actually, this Friday we're playing in Tampa at the Hooch and Hive, which is one of the original music venues here in Tampa. Which is this actually we're debuting there, so this will be our first time there. But it's one of the many places I know I've been wanting to play. And then we have an arts festival on Sunday in Tarpon Springs, which is pretty local to us. And then
16th.
oh yeah,
16th. We're at Blur.
yeah. So we're doing we're playing at a club called the Blur, which is in Dunedin, in, another local venue. And then the next day we're doing another local venue for St. Patrick's
At an Irish bar.
at an Irish
We don't
bar
play any Irish music.
called Nolan's. Yeah. We don't play any Irish music.
But nobody does it.
Yeah.
Nobody
So-
does it.
And then we have a music festival that we're playing in April.
Mhm.
It's called the Landapalooza, which is on the east coast of Florida. So we're looking forward to that. It's one of these road trip. We get to hit the road, stay overnight, play music, have a good time. So
Yeah, it'll be fun.
and then
That-
we're in
that
the works.
sounds awesome. Hmm?
We're actually in the discussions, working out the logistics of possibly doing a tour up north. Um, yeah, it's what are we calling it? The Northwoods tour, which we're getting our manager Matt here to work it out for us.
So that's like the northeast New York area, or like north is in north of Florida.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. It's like up
Ah.
in the where is that?
Country.
Cheese.
Cheese country.
Well, I don't want to keep you
Cheese
too
and
much longer, guys. I don't want to keep you too much longer, guys. But just you see the QR codes here. They will bring everyone that's watching this and that will later watch this to your socials and your merch stores, and I believe things like that, as well as the Rock Tumblr website itself. And you guys can expect a review on Enso, and I can already give you a little spoiler. It's an album I really love, and I honestly believe we're going to see more of you guys because, again, you've got a unique sound, you've got a passion for this, and you're very spiritual in your music, which, again, though you don't think it's, well, where you do think it's important, but considering that rock music itself is pretty generic, especially the commercial stuff, I really believe that your sound is what we need in the rock lexicon at the moment. So thank you for joining me, and Richie,
Thank you very much.
it was, and hopefully we'll be able to connect again and talk about more music, because like I said, I really
Absolutely.
think you guys can go the distance and become the next big thing. So once again,
That's
thank you
honestly
for joining me.
That's what we do.
Thanks again, Tom. Thank you.
Tom. Much appreciated.